Thank you for that lovely introduction, Marissa. Hi, everybody. Yeah, if you don't know me, my name's Andy Barge. I'm the Director of Wellness at Six Senses Ziggy Bay in Oman. I've been there for coming up to 2 years, although I'm currently in the UK because of the C word. I've been stuck in the UK since August, but I'll be going back to Oman very soon. I've been in the spa industry since 2003. It's a long story, but I got into it completely accidentally, but fell in love with it, and I'm still here. So that's a good sign.
Very good.
Thanks. All right. So anyway, welcome to today's coaching. What I'm going to be talking about is it's related to time management, and it's about how you use your time in the most productive and exceptional way. And I'll be introducing you to a tool and a concept of it's not about managing your time, it's about managing your focus and your goals and where you spend your energy. They'll be talking a bit about how the brain works, and then also how this relates directly to the spa guild and your own spa career. And we'll look at that a bit later on. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. This is always the magic test. All right. Can you see? All right. Fantastic. So we're talking about choosing the important first of all. Looking at these two doors, what for you, you can put this in the chat box. What do these two doors represent to you, do you think? Anybody? First person wins a coffee. Opportunity, good. Yeah, opportunities. Thanks, Nungo. Organized and peaceful, yeah. New opportunity, very good. They represent work, OMG. Thanks, Marissa. Absolutely, yeah. One freedom, opportunity, peace, exactly. The door on the right-hand side, it looks like you've got the blue sky behind. It's open, it looks friendly. The one on the left, it's bulging with work and paperwork and emails and things. And for me, this represents the choice. The door on the left is all about reaction. This is coming towards you. But the door on the right is something that you choose to open and choose to step through. Good start, good answers. Okay, so in life, we are juggling all of our priorities for work, for our personal life, anything you can think of, we are juggling it. And see this happy person, you've got a few tasks, juggling away, everything's fine. Whereas actually, it feels more like this, right? Where our priorities are so intense that it becomes very difficult to start managing everything. And even if you've got the most organized checklist and to-do list, you never seem to get away from this horrible juggling sensation, right? And there's a reason for this. So I'm going to show you a lovely video which explains what's happening. Okay.
Workplace is a battle. As soon as you enter, you are fighting to survive an onslaught of urgent tasks, emails, meeting requests, and deadlines. It's like an avalanche of gravel that threatens to bury you alive. And just when you think you've dug yourself out, it starts all over again. And it's not just at work. The gravel threatens our personal lives as well. distracting us from key relationships and things that matter most. So, we try to sort the gravel, label it, and organize it. We discuss it in meetings, often missing issues that are far more important. What extraordinary things could you achieve if only you could break out? Ready for a change?
All right. And then you can relate to that. That's definitely me every day. So you see, you think about the gravel. The gravel is everything in our lives that's coming towards us. And the key thing to take away from this is that the gravel never ends. It will never, ever stop or ever finish. And if you think about it, every time you go to work, every day, you never get to the end of what you're doing. There's never a day you go home and say, oh, what am I going to do tomorrow because I've finished, right? Never going to happen. So I want you to think about this question here. What is the one thing that you could do right now that would have the biggest impact on your life? And don't answer now, but just hold that in your mind for a bit and we'll come back later. Okay, brain drain. This is a very basic diagram of the brain, and it's important to understand these two elements of it. If you look on the right-hand side, you've got something called the reactive brain. It's also known as the animal brain. And what this is it's the part of your mind that's in charge of your emotions, instincts, reflexes, and impulses. It's something you don't really have a control over, and it's related to your subconscious mind. And it's the part of the brain that was designed first, or originated first. So it controls everything, hunger and love and everything that you don't control. On the left-hand side, you have the prefrontal cortex, or the higher brain. And this is the thinking part of the brain. And this is what really makes us human. So when you're planning, you've got self-control, following through, your attention is in this front part of your mind here. And that is what is getting distracted in this current day and age, because everything that's happening to us in our lives, our brains are not designed to manage this. And everything that we're doing, like the email pings, Facebook pings, distractions, TV, telephones, work, everything that's going on is reacting to these reflexes and emotions in your animal brain. And actually, if you look at the distractions, when you think about it, maybe you've done this. If you've been at dinner with someone or you're talking to someone, and then the phone goes bing, and then you can see them like struggling to maintain eye contact and just looking down at their phone. And it's not a conscious thought, it's just bing, and it burns your mind. And what's happening, that distraction is taking away from your planning. And if you're doing something important and your phone goes off, you can't focus until you've checked it. And it's sort of like an addiction. And I remember reading this doctor who's an ADD doctor, attention deficit disorder. And he said 20 years ago, people used to come with attention deficit disorder, the actual syndrome. And it was like, you're distracted, you're frustrated, you find it difficult to maintain attention, you find it difficult to plan things. And he said now people are coming and they think they've got ADD, but he said it's just modern life syndrome. We've all got this where when we're trying to plan something, do something meaningful, we've got this constant distraction in the background. And all these choices are coming to us because we've got more choice now and more information than we ever had before. And if you think about it, like in the morning, what do? You get up, you check your news, you've got emails coming in immediately. So your mind is constantly distracted. All right, and just think about all the distractions you might have at work and at home right now. So what's happening then is we are overwhelmed. We've got an attention deficit disorder, which is related to modern life. So how do we fix that? So as we mentioned at the beginning, it's not about time management because we've got so many things to do, we'll never get through. So it's about choice, and it's about choosing the exceptional things that make the biggest difference in our lives. Okay, so I'm going to talk now about this. This is the main tool that we'll be going through today. It's called the time matrix, and it was originally invented by somebody called Franklin Covey, and he wrote an amazing book, which if you've not read, you definitely should, called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But this was designed from this, and it's very simple. If you look at it, you've got on the left-hand side, there's a chart, not important to important, going from bottom to top. And on the bottom, you've got urgent to not urgent. And what this does, it separates all of your activities and tasks into 4 quadrants. So Q1, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and so on, based on how urgent or not urgent and how important and not important they are. So for example, if you look at the top left, you have the Q1, the immediate here. So this is something that is important and urgent. So it's here. So an important and urgent thing is a last minute deadline, a crisis, fire, there's a fire. That's immediately, and it's urgent. If there's a guest complaining, demanding to speak to the manager, immediate. You've got to deal with it right now, okay? Q3 is on the bottom left. This is distracted. This is something that is urgent. It seems urgent. It's calling for your attention, but it's not necessarily important to you right now. So that would be like needless meetings. Are you at a meeting that you do not need to be at? Interruptions. Have you got colleagues coming in asking you for things? Irrelevant Zoom calls, unimportant emails that you're responding to, reports that you don't need to be doing yourself. All right, so that's Q3. Then on the right, you've got Q4, which is irrelevant things, which is something that's not urgent and not important. So what's that? That's looking on social media, playing video games, gossiping, time wasting, avoiding activities, those sort of things. So it's things that are not important to that for you right now. And then top right, this is the big one. This is what we want to focus on. This is the exceptional quadrant. So this is something that is not urgent, but it is important. So what are we talking about? We're talking about planning, prevention, your big goals, learning, renewal. What are you studying? You're trying to get better. Relationship growth, your better half, your work colleagues. Are you building those relationships? Creative thinking, problem solving, all of the really important things in your life. And the key difference between Q2 and the rest is that you have to plan to go into it. These things don't come to you. It's like the gym, isn't it? If you go into the gym to get fit, you don't just find yourself at the gym. You've got to plan it. You've got to get up in the morning. You've got to find the time. Okay. So this is the time matrix. Someone's put, Nunga, are there such things as irrelevant Zoom meetings? Yes, there are. Yeah, and it's crazy that unimportant things are also urgent. The most important things are not urgent. Jeepers. One can understand why it's such a mess. Absolutely, Linnell. Absolutely. It's, what you want to take away from this is the concept at the moment of what things are. And we're going to look more deeply into each section. All right. All right. So why do we go into Q1? What is it about the immediate things that we focus on? Why do we go here? What is it we're focusing on? So again, this is emergencies, crises, staff shortages. Well, the reason is, going back to the brain and how we're set up, we're wired for action. Our ancestors, when you were living in the wild in caves, if you saw the chap on the right here, you get a sudden burst of adrenaline, like it's a threat, and it's a feeling you get to run away. You've heard of the fight or flight response, right? Well, this is what's happening. So you get this what action thing, and it feels like, oh, it feels great. Like if you go on a roller coaster, you feel brilliant afterwards. You're high, you're like, wow, and you're talking a lot because you're feeling good. And what happens is this action is what triggers that part of the brain, which is the reactive part, the animal brain. And if you think about it, when things go wrong at work, or even in your life when you've been busy, you know, last minute deadline, the therapist didn't show up, the guest was complaining, there was a flood, the power went out, like all these things are going on, the day goes by quickly and you're hooked on that feeling. And when you tell people what happened at work, you always tell these stories. Oh, remember that time we had this disaster? You never say, oh, do you remember that time where we sat down at a creative session and we problem solved and eliminated all those issues? No, you don't do that, because that isn't exciting. The exciting thing is this: I'll do it, do it, do it. That's why we go into Q1. All right, what about Q3 then? This is a funny area, because these ones can seem important and they might be to somebody else, and they might be important to the business, but they might not be important to you right now. And a good example of that is when you've got something that needs to be done. Like, let's say there's an end of month report and it needs doing. And if it's in Q3, it's important, maybe urgent, needs doing soon. And you, as the SPA manager or leader, you're doing it, but you don't necessarily need to be doing it. For me, this is like, we have a monthly report at 6 Senses. It's like a sustainability report, which has to be completed. And it's basically filling out data from the SPA, what we've used, plastic and energy. Now, is it important? Absolutely, because for the company, sustainability is really important. So it might be important to the company, but if I'm completing this report, is it the Q2? Is it important for me? No, the report is not. Someone else could do that. If I'm doing the report, it becomes a distraction, even though the actual element is important. And it's important to get that across. It's not that the thing might be important, but is it important to you right now based on your goals? So back to the sustainability report, if the person who's assigned to it hasn't done it and it's the last day and it needs to be done, then suddenly it's then a Q1, the important and urgent. And then maybe I do have to do it. So I hope you understand Q3 doesn't mean it isn't important. It's just what's the main thing for you, what's exceptional right now. And while we're here, it's important to look at what do you do to put others in Q3. So do you do anything within your organization to distract other people? And again, you don't need to answer right now, but it's just something to think about when you're thinking of the culture and in your place of work and in your personal life. And I think, what is it you can do to get out of this section? And we'll talk a bit about that later. Okay, Q4, this is the irrelevant activities. So gossiping, time wasting, avoidance activities. One of the main reasons we go into here is because we've spent so much time in Q1 with the urgent and important, and Q3, the urgent but not important, that you start to get burnt out and you want an escape. That's often why we end up in Q4. It's also important here to see when I'm saying video games, if you're using something to relax and it's part of your downtime, so your renewal, it isn't a Q4 activity. What I'm specifically mentioning on video games here is, say, if you're on a video game, but you should be doing some important work in your key area, that's the distraction. Because I like playing video games from time to time. But it's just if I'm playing video games on my phone when I should be doing something critical, that's when it becomes a Q4. Marissa's written chit chat in Q4. Yeah, I see this a lot in SPA teams. Prolonged chit chat beyond just a good morning catch up. Absolutely. Yeah, Laura, you put, you don't feel good enough and want to calm the anxiety. Absolutely. It's very true. Okay, so what's the difference between Q2 and all of the others? Well, as mentioned before, Q2, you have to plan the time to go into these things. They don't come to you. You have to decide and choose to do these things. So who can tell me, what do you think this means? So here you've got each of the quadrants, and then you've got some money next to it and time. What do you think this means? That we should be in Q2 all the time in a perfect world, absolutely. Time spent equals money generated. Thank you, Laura. Yes. So if you look at these, so if you look at Q1, this is saying the time you spend in Q1 equals a bag of money. So it's like time for time. It's kind of equal. Q3 is the time spent there, you're getting half of it back. So you're getting less than you've invested. Q4, you're getting zero back because it's irrelevant. And Q2, well, here, look, the money is exponentially increased. So there's no limit to what you can do. So we want to choose the exceptional. So here you can see these are things which are specifically related to the spa industry. And this is something that Marissa put together, and it's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to show each one. So Q1 related to the spa industry. You've got things like therapist arguing with reception about commission allocation of retail, a staff member with a bad attitude upsetting somebody else, customer complaints about poor treatment service, staff member being late for a treatment, last minute deadlines and scramble to complete on time, owner's visit to the spa, does it require the manager to drop everything, last minute performance reviews that are poorly planned. Have you ever had that or done that? And I know I have in the past, I've done it. You get a performance review at the end of the year, and the person doing it hasn't taken the whole year into consideration. They'll just look at what they can remember from the last month and give that feedback. So they'll say things like, oh yeah, you know, you're great, but you've been late a bit. Well, when? Well, 2 weeks ago you were late. Okay, that's one time. Because they don't plan it, because it takes time to plan a full proper year review. What else? Power outage in the building, floods or other disasters, urgent emails from the general manager, owner, etc. Can you relate to these? I can. Okay, the next one on the left, you've got the avoidance activities. So what's this? Responding to emails immediately as they come in. I think one thing is when you're at your computer and you're in work and the emails are either pinging or you get the preview of it, it can be very distracting, and often we then respond to it. Whereas actually, you know, a good thing to plan is to allocate time for emails twice a day if you can. Business meetings that you can miss or send someone else. A phone call that isn't important. Emails that are not vital to you or you can delegate. Someone asking you to do something but you don't have much time. Completing a report that someone else can do, but you feel better if you do it. This is a classic one. This is something I don't trust the people to do it. Well, why? What is it? The time that you're spending on that, what could you be doing instead? A colleague who keeps coming out of their office to talk to you about their issues. Making posters for out of order signs. Processing inventory orders. These are urgent and not important. Then on the right, you want to limit the trivial and wasteful. Surfing Facebook excessively for non-business purposes, right? Playing Candy Crush at work. Unnecessary tidying of offices. I used to do that when I was preparing for exams. My room was the most tidy it's ever been in my entire life, just to get out of actually doing the revision. Gossiping, as Marissa mentioned earlier. Reading excessive news, and again, certain phone calls or emails. Okay, so then we're going to go on to this, the brilliant time management. So what is our goal? Our goal is to spend as much time as possible on the right here in the exceptional section, this top right quadrant, not urgent, but really important. Now, this is great because actually what it shows is you cannot eliminate the others. Like the only one you could really theoretically eliminate 100% is Q4, the trivial. But the other things, you're always going to get emergencies cropping up. You're always going to get some distractions, but you can minimize these and you can create a culture around you to spend more time here and get your colleagues and your family and friends to do the same. So then where we want to be, focusing on strategies and values. First one here, of course, Spa Professionals Guild coursework. Mm-hmm. Now, it's no coincidence that the people who come to the coaching sessions and come to the meetings online and are doing the work on time are the ones who are reaping the most benefits. I know that some people, things crop up and not everyone can make it, but those ones who are digging in and dedicating the time and putting this into their diaries is something that's really important, even though it isn't urgent, but it is very important, are the ones who are doing really well. So I want you to take that away because, you know, these meetings come up and if something else comes up at work, it's easy to think, oh, actually, oh, that's vital. I'll watch the video later. But when you're doing the work and you come into these, you're then dedicating that time and saying, you know what, this is really important and I'm going to make the time to do it. So that's your lesson. If you take nothing else away, just that, please do. Team buildings and outings, often they get put off at work, right? Because of, you know, we're busy and we haven't got the time and then we do it in downtime and everyone's on holiday. So make sure you put this in. Training and development of the team. Make sure you dedicate time for that, for the team and for yourself. Plan delegation of key tasks for development. Again, coming back to I like to do it myself because I feel it's getting done. Well, if you've got somebody in your team, like imagine if I have a plan and it's okay, my plan, let's say it's 99% going to be successful. And if my spa manager beneath me, she says she has a plan and it's 85% successful, well, which one are we going to go with? Well, I'm going to go with hers because it's going to work. It might not be as good as me because I've got more experience, but she's going to learn from it and then I can give her some pointers. And that time that I spend with her, then she can do it in the future and get better. And then I have more time to do other things. So it's a key thing that you've got to let go of these things and start to delegate. Long-term solutions and systems. You know, this is about looking at what's working, spending time, creative problem solving, and looking at how you can do things better. You want to make more money, save costs, be more efficient. Exercise and personal wellness. I put this in because you've got to sharpen the saw, as they say, which is making sure you're taking care of yourself, because going to the gym, meditation, eating well, sleeping well, you can't maintain yourself in this quadrant and be focused if you don't focus on yourself. Okay, and then there's lots of others here. You've got personal hobbies, family time, regular one-to-ones with your team, creating a personal development plan, brainstorming sessions, critical financial analysis of your business, recording of staff performance throughout the year, and your management checklists. All of these things take time, okay? But these are not important and not urgent. Okay, so back to the question we were asking earlier, what would happen if you choose to spend more of your time being exceptional? Where could you go? What could you do if you really truly maximized your time? What could you do? Okay, we're nearly there. Okay, so to help you out, you want to have when a task comes in, there's a moment of choice before you do it. So you've got to think to yourself, how important is it? So if somebody comes to you asking you to do something, think, is this important to me right now? Is it a Q1 task or Q2? Do I need to do it? When does it need to be done? And it's beyond the scope of the coaching session today to go into this, because this is a whole other coaching session. But even if it just gets you to think about, what do I need to be doing right now, if this will really help you. So ask yourself, does this need to be done now? Do I need to do it? What's the impact of this on my overall goals? And which of all of my priorities is most important right now? Ta-da! And we are done. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to speak or put it in the chat box. I see Isabel has sent a question. Thank you, Isabel. How to deal with a spa manager who never wants to get help from a team, but then gets overwhelmed by everything around her? Well, Isabel, it's a good question. I think this is a coaching session. I think you've got to look at the reasons why they don't want to get help from the team, and then they're getting overwhelmed around her. Because for me, this is like an ego thing, and someone who believes that they don't need any help, to me, is somebody who thinks that it's a sign of weakness. And I think the first thing you need to do is get this reason why they don't want help and explain it to them. Is this a spa manager who's above you or beneath you? Above you. Okay. Well, I would. That makes it slightly more difficult, only because you're probably more reluctant to go and speak to them. But I think you can have this in your one-to-ones. You can approach it from the point of view of, you really want to support them, and you want to learn yourself from them. But if you can't help them, then your development, you can't get any better either. So you're coming at it not from the point of, I want to support you, but it's like, I want to help you so I can get better, and then let them in this way.